You will have sex with me, or I will fire you. My boss was a 45-year-old woman, and I had just turned 25. I talked to a few other guys around the water cooler, and they all said she came up to them too, and demanded the same thing. However, they did not share my concerns. They were actually very happy that they were given an ultimatum, and they were also very happy that they simply walked into her office behind locked doors and let her take them to heaven. Yes, she was sexy, with long legs and big breasts, but I had just married a year ago to the sweetest, most wonderful girl imaginable. She's also 25 and expecting our first child in just 2 months. Then I started circling the office, asking all the other guys if they had heard any stories about the office manager wanting to have sex with his salespeople. I was shocked to learn that they were all only too happy to head into her office, complete with a mahogany desk, a leather sofa, expensive wing-back chairs, and a modern pool table. For them, sex with her was the biggest and best thrill of their lives. And yet, as I said, it was doom and gloom for me. I truly loved my young wife with all my mind, heart, and soul. My body was strictly hers, and I couldn't stand the thought of having to cheat on her, even if it was just this one time. I say this because everyone said that she never asked them to come back for a second round, although most of them admitted that they almost begged her to do so. So I was very embarrassed to admit to them that I didn't want anything to do with it. They all thought I was crazy, saying that she was simply the best experience they had ever had. I was a new salesperson there, having started just a year ago, and yet I was already #1 in sales. But even being #1 wouldn't keep me in my job if I didn't agree to have sex with her. I was at a loss, not knowing what to do. I confronted her and told her in no uncertain terms that I would not be coming to her office tomorrow night to talk to her. I told her that I was passionately in love with my pregnant wife and could never even dream of cheating on her, let alone actually do it. My boss simply shrugged and repeated her ultimatum. Either I show up at her office after everyone leaves the next evening at 5:30, or I don't have a job the next day. I warned her that I would go to the Human Rights Commission and complain about sexual harassment at work, and she started laughing so hard that I thought she would fall out of her chair. She assured me that the Human Rights Commission would never believe me. First of all, none of the other salespeople in the office ever complained, and in truth, everyone would just jump at the chance to spend the evening with her again if they could. Secondly, it will simply be my word against hers, and she will deny everything. Third, almost all the accusations against the commission came from women being harassed by men and not vice versa. The few cases of women who made threats were with ugly, older women who couldn't get a man any other way. She laughed, saying that they would look at her and think that she could easily get any man she wanted and would think that she didn't need to bother anyone. I thought carefully about her words. She definitely held me tightly, and yet I was determined not to cheat on my wife. I loved her too much. I told my wife what happened and then said that I was just going to leave and not come back. My wife was horrified. With a baby on the way and unable to find a job, in today's economy there was no way I could easily find another job. And who could I use as a reference? The office manager to whom I tried to make some kind of complaint. The boss I despised and angered? She'll probably give me a bad recommendation. I was afraid. What does she say? My wife wiped away a tear and said that since it would only be one time, and since all the other guys had done it, no matter how disgusting it was, we had to agree. We desperately need me to hang on to this job. Come on, have sex with her. It wouldn't actually feel like cheating on me, she said, because you were honest and frank. Just try not to be too happy about it and try to get it over with as quickly as possible. Are you sure about this? I asked, completely stunned. If you leave, we won't be able to buy diapers or baby food when the baby is born, or pay the damn rent if you don't give in to her, my wife whispered and added, so as much as it hurts me to give. You have permission to have sex with another woman. I would rather you spend an hour with her than spend months on the street with no job and a child that we will probably end up losing due to not being able to take care of him. I can't believe you're saying that. How can you put up with me cheating? Who said that this suits me? For the last 2 years I couldn't find a job, and now I can't even more so, because I have to stay at home and take care of the child. You are very good at selling these car parts. You earn both a salary and bonuses. So, like I said, giving up all of this on principle only to probably end up losing the baby doesn't make any sense. It's only one time, and it's only an hour. Just be sure to wear a condom so you don't catch anything. Okay? Great, I said, not believing my ears, my whole body trembling with rage. I will agree to her proposal if it makes you happy. Don't you dare tell me that. Of course, this doesn't make me happy. But what does happiness have to do with it? As your boss said, it's strictly sex or getting fired, so choose the lesser of two evils and just get on with it. I don't want our baby to live on the streets when he's born, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm waiting for you late tomorrow evening, and that's the end of our conversation. I spent the entire next day in the office, literally dripping with sweat. Every now and then, the boss would come up to my desk, bend over and show off her breasts with a frighteningly plunging neckline, and whisper that she was going to thoroughly enjoy me more than all the other men who came into her office. I sat quietly in the corner and ate my lunch, feeling that this was the last meal of a person sentenced to death. I made sure I had enough condoms in my wallet in case she didn't have any. My forehead and face were sweating by 2:30, and I was simply too nervous to talk to anyone about anything. By 5:30, I was so nervous that I almost fainted. The office was supposed to close at 5:30, and I was furious, knowing that only an hour separated me from her. My wife's words echoed over and over again in my anxious and guilty mind. Don't have too much fun. By 5:15, the office was completely empty. The boss told the secretary that she could go home early, and all the guys, knowing full well that it was my turn to visit the office, did not want to anger her by staying late. "Anytime you're ready, Greg." Hearing her voice so unexpectedly behind me made me jump. I turned around and was shocked to see massive breasts hanging down without a bra or top. She was wearing 6-inch heels, but that was all. She was completely naked. She threw the key on the table. "Close the door, okay?" And press the button on the secretary's desk that turns off all the phones. "We don't want to be disturbed." I locked the door, turned off the phones, and stripped naked, remembering to put on a condom. This was her plan, after all. Then I entered the office. "Take off the condom," she said, frowning, as soon as I entered. I was amazed by her request. I froze and did nothing. "Don't worry," she said. "Every man I've ever had sex with, including all the salespeople in this office, always wore a condom, so I'm STD-free, that's for sure. I know that you are married and do not walk away from your wife, so I feel safe." "Okay, no STDs, but what if you get pregnant?" "That's exactly what I want, silly, to get pregnant. I'm 45, and my gynecologist says she doesn't think I have much time left when it comes to possibly having a baby. I always wanted a child, but I love sex and I love men, so I never got married, so when I heard that your wife got pregnant so soon after you married her, I thought, wow, at least I know you're not only clean, but actually fertile. You can hopefully knock me up in no time." "That wasn't part of the deal," I said angrily, almost trembling. "Don't worry," she assured me. "I'm a millionaire, so I won't ask you for alimony. But just so you know, I don't like that angry look on your face. I want you to act happily and skillfully during this sexual session. I've never begged a man for sex before, and I'm not going to start begging now. What if sex doesn't produce a child today? If at first you don't succeed, fool, then try again. Didn't your mother ever teach you this?" I was suddenly horrified to realize that this might not be the only time she would force me to have sex with her, but her warning to be happy and proficient was running through my head. I was trapped. "You were great," she declared, her face beaming. I didn't answer. "Come on, get dressed," she said. "We're coming to my place. You turn me on. I want you to continue making love to me." I carefully and quietly opened the door, not wanting to wake my wife. She lay awake, sitting on the sofa, madly excited. "It's already past 1 in the morning. I was afraid you had an accident or something." "I was with her, remember?" "I thought you said it was only for an hour." "No, you said it was only for an hour. My boss took the lovemaking to her home." "Lovers?" I was too humiliated to answer. "Thank God she only wanted you to do it once." I said nothing. It was hard for me to lie to my wife, so I just didn't tell her anything. Instead, I followed her upstairs and into bed. "Take a shower," she said, trembling with suppressed rage, "and wash your mouth with soap." The next 2 weeks passed without incident until my boss suddenly called me into her office and locked the door, drawing all the curtains. She then used the intercom to tell the secretary to put all calls on hold. "We have a problem, Greg." "Problems?" "Actually, there are two problems. First of all, my period ended 2 days ago, which means I didn't get pregnant with you, as I had hoped." "What about the second problem?" "I'm excited. I still can't forget you. I need you right here, right now. This way we can kill two birds with one stone. You will satisfy my body and place the baby in my belly at the same time. Take off your clothes." I did as she asked, not only because I wanted to keep my job, but also because my jealous wife had not made love to me for 2 weeks. I was unbearably excited. "Speaking of fairness," she said, "when you go to the bank this week, you will find that the salary is double what it was before, and the benefits package has doubled, and in some cases even tripled." Suddenly, my knees felt weak. Now she was bribing me with extra money and extra incentives, just to sweeten the pill. I had sex with her until the office closed at 5:30. I returned home from work on time, barely alive from it. When I walked inside, the lights were dim and soft, sexy music was playing quietly in the background. My heart sank, realizing that my wife Stacy had apparently snapped out of her 2-week sour funk because I had to have sex with my boss. Now she was finally ready to make love to me, and she wanted me to know it. I sighed at my predicament. I just couldn't give her what she wanted. I suddenly felt her come up behind me, wrapping her arms around my chest. Guess who? I turned around and she started kissing my neck and face profusely. Then she suddenly stopped and her face changed from pleasure to rage. "I've been waiting all day for you to come home so we could make love. Only now I see that your boss beat me to it. Don't try to deny it." "She forced me." "Oh, how about once? For 2 weeks she didn't come close to me, and today, out of the blue, either I had sex with her for the second time, or I'm looking for another job. And I wanted to stop, but this damn lady is just insatiable. 5.5 hours. "And you probably enjoyed every fucking minute." My wife's words pierced me like a dagger, so I responded, "Listen, Stacy, you yourself wanted me to agree, remember? You're the one who didn't let me quit this damn job, remember? So what the hell are you talking about? That she'll want you to keep giving it to her? She wants a child. What is she doing? What is she doing? Are you kidding me? Does she want you to knock her up? Oh, it's just fucking getting worse and worse. I can't live like this. I thought I could be strong. You can only deal with this once. But now, what do you expect from me? Just sit quietly at home with this big belly you gave me and just be happy about it. I can't live like this. Damn it, I can't live like this." Then Stacy burst into tears, fell to her knees and hugged the stairwell, sobbing onto the wooden floor. "Oh my God, what a mess. What should I do now?" I knelt down next to her, trying to console her, and hugged her, but she pushed me away. "Get your hands off me," she screamed and added, "It should have been only once and not all the time." Then she walked up the stairs, almost ready to lose her mind, and I became worried, knowing the traumatic effect such terrible stress could have on an unborn child. It was 7.5 months, and as crazy as she was, I feared for her safety and the safety of the baby. I reached the bedroom door just in time to see it slam shut in my face and hear the key turn. She didn't mean to admit me, that's all. I sighed and slowly trudged down the stairs. Everything got out of control. "It's time to pour yourself a drink." I slept the night right outside her door, lying on the floor. I heard her sobbing uncontrollably all night long, and I was terribly worried about what this might do to her and the baby. But on the other hand, maybe a really good scream is just what she needs to get all her emotions out. Suddenly, without any warning, the crying stopped. I knocked on the door, but there was no answer. My first instinct was to simply break down the door to see if she was trying to harm herself. But as I pressed my ear to the door, I heard her begin to move, probably making the bed and opening the curtains. I suggested that she might be in the process of coming out of this state. I decided not to annoy her anymore. I'll just leave her alone until she comes to her senses. I went downstairs and prepared breakfast. Since it was Saturday, the office was closed. This will give Stacy and I a chance to talk about what we're going to do. 4 hours passed before Stacy finally showed up in the kitchen, where I was sitting at the table drinking coffee. Her eyes were red and puffy, and she had a zombie expression on her face that really scared me. I hoped, with every fiber of my soul, that everything would be okay with her. She seemed to be shaking, and I didn't think it was wise to try to hug her. "Coffee?" I asked cautiously, not knowing if she would start screaming again or maybe cry. She did neither. "Something to drink would be nice," she answered in a frighteningly monotone voice. "Good, because the coffee has just been brewed." "No, I was thinking about something stronger. Something much stronger. Do we have a bottle of vodka lying around from last Christmas?" "Yes, but—" My "but" was an expression of concern that alcohol and pregnancy probably don't mix well. However, she was on very shaky ground, so I thought it would be an unwise idea to criticize her. Better to just play along, I thought. For all I knew, she could be on the verge of some kind of psychotic attack or mental breakdown. "I'll bring it now," I said, getting up. When I returned, she was sitting up, her fingers trembling as she reached for a pack of cigarettes on the table. This shocked me because Stacy quit smoking as soon as she found out she was pregnant. She even forced me to smoke outside if she was going to be on the same floor as me. She opened the pack, pulled one out, and pressed it to her lips. Her whole body shook, and then I realized that her nerves had completely gone. She put the cigarette in her mouth and tried to hold the lighter to it, but her hand was shaking too much to light it. I reached for her hand, supporting her. As much as I hated the thought of her smoking again, the flames were high, and I figured it would be better to let her light the cigarette than to accidentally set her hair or clothes on fire. She took a deep breath until clouds of white smoke began to billow from her mouth and nostrils. Phew! How much time has passed? I wanted to say something about the wisdom of smoking or drinking, especially after she had worked hard to break those habits. But she was clearly not herself, and any hostile words on my part would only serve as the beginning of the Third World War. I poured an ounce of vodka into a glass and placed it in front of her, reaching for the orange juice. Before I could unscrew the cap from the orange juice, she tipped the glass back, leaving it empty. "Fuck the juice. More vodka. Double this time." I did, as she asked, pouring a generous amount for myself. She quickly swallowed this too, wincing at the strong taste. "Leave the bottle," she said, "and sit down. We need to talk." I put down the vodka and sat down next to her. "Listen, honey," I began. "No, when I said we needed to talk, I meant that you should shut up and just listen. Just answer my questions, understand?" "Okay," I agreed, shrugging my shoulders obediently. Again, I didn't want to contradict her in any way that might piss her off. "How often do you think she will want to use you?" "I have no idea," I replied. "Though, until she gets pregnant, she'll probably want to keep it going. Last time it was 2 weeks, but that was only because she was on her period. I'd say probably once a week, and most likely on Fridays because most people in the office leave early for the weekend." Probably every Friday, huh? And how long will each session last?" "Honestly? Yes, you've been completely honest so far, and that's what keeps me going. I know I have all the facts. Don't hide anything from me." "Well, if yesterday was any indicator, then from noon until closing at 5:30. I guess she thinks you won't know about it if it happens during work hours." "Well, she's wrong. A whole 5 hours. This woman is insatiable." "What about the other guys in the office?" "She doesn't need them anymore. Just me. She thinks that because I am so young, pure, and faithfully married, she will not get sexually transmitted diseases from me. She also thinks that since I knocked you up so quickly after our wedding, I can get her pregnant quickly despite her age. She also likes the fact that I am, in her words, really cute because that means her baby will probably be really cute too. And what else? There must be something more to her obsession with you. You promised to be completely honest with me, remember? Well, she likes the way I am, again. In her words, so sexy, with washboard abs, handsome, and can have sex for hours. None of the 21 salespeople in her office can do this. All those qualities about you that you just mentioned were the same qualities that helped me fall in love with you right away. What are you getting at? I want to say that sooner or later she will fall in love with you just like me. Nonsense, I spat, clearly horrified. Is it so? Just think about the fact that she chose you to give her a child. No one else was allowed to have sex with her more than once, despite their explicit pleas. And remember, I saw her at the Christmas party. She looks very sexy, a real beauty. Don't you understand? For now, it's once a week, but soon it will be once a day. And then, when she gets pregnant, she'll need a father for her baby. And then, before you know it, she'll order you to divorce me and marry her. This is madness. No, it's just logical thinking. I checked my bank account via online banking a few hours ago. Do you know that this woman actually doubled your salary? She said. She's obviously a woman who means what she says and says what she means. She also does exactly what she says, which means she's going to get her pregnant. And this is much more than I can bear. So what should I do about it? Quit. I'll leave if that's what you want. Quit your job? Not in this life. Our parents died. We are both only children and have no siblings to turn to. You may or may not find another job quickly. The boss will probably give you a bad recommendation and try to fire you again if you find another job. You know, the offended woman syndrome? We could lose our apartment, 2 cars, our credit rating, and, worst of all, even, as I said, lose our child. She has you by the balls and she knows it. So, if I don't leave, and if you can't handle me getting her pregnant and then expecting her to fall in love with me, what do you do now? Kill her. These 2 words were not spoken quietly, as might have been expected, nor were they spoken timidly, like some tentative phrase floating through the atmosphere to see if there was any agreement. They just spat out a vindictive, almost insane housewife who was pushed over the edge, feeling like a trapped rat being poked with a stick. Did I not quite hear? Of course I heard. I said, kill her. It is recorded that you receive twice your normal salary. If she dies, the new office manager they hire will simply continue to pay the new, higher salary. After all, you are number 1 in sales. Who will doubt? The time until next Friday passed slowly. I started drinking to calm my nerves. My wife's plan was crazy enough that it would probably work, but I was a nervous wreck that I simply couldn't pull the trigger of the gun. I can do it, said my wife. I can easily pull the trigger when this husband doesn't pull. At first, I was completely against it, but my wife insisted that I either agree or she would divorce me and run away to another state where I would never see her or the child. I was in a panic, and so I agreed. As midday approached, I left the emergency staircase door open at the back of the office. No one ever used it because we were on the 6th floor, which requires a very long walk up the concrete stairs as opposed to the elevator in the lobby. But there were no cameras on the stairs. The camera was pointed at the front door of the office, watching all the people coming and going. At exactly 5:30, after a particularly hot 5-hour sex session, the office manager, half naked, walked me to the front door, planting a kiss on my lips. I asked her to walk me to the door so that the camera would capture me leaving and her still alive. By the time she returned to her private office, my wife had slipped through the back door and was waiting for her to come through the door. 1 bullet in the heart was enough. Our daughter was just born yesterday. She is just like her mother, beautiful and energetic. 6 weeks have passed since the secret murder. The doom and gloom that was once imposed on her by my sex-hungry boss disappeared from my wife's eyes. Her body was never found, and the police only questioned me once. All the salespeople told the cops the same thing. She forced them to have sex with her in her office. The last known footage of her life showed me leaving the office kissing her. My wife then confirmed that I had returned home shortly. We're off the hook. No one was sure whether she was alive or not. Imagine my surprise when the company, impressed that I was number 1 in sales, appointed me as their new sales manager. Now I earn twice what I was paid before. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.